series here at Gold Hill, we are exploring God's great purpose through the Old Testament as we turn to book by book commentary on the story of the Old Testament. You can find out more by going to goldhill.org/GGP, which stands for God's Great Purpose. And I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to talk to you about the book of Numbers. Probably the most famous section of the book of Numbers is Moses' great blessing as he speaks over the people of Israel. Within days of them having left Egypt, they're standing on the brink of walking through a desert and they don't know what's coming next. And it's into that context that Moses stands in front of the people and he says, "May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and give you his peace. May the Lord lift up the light of his countenance towards you." Powerful words of promise and hope and security, spoken around 1445 BC, just as Israel was leaving Egypt. The challenge, however, is that the book of Numbers covers a 40-year period. And that 40-year period includes the 11-day journey that takes them to the edge of the promised land from Egypt. And then 40 years of wandering in the wilderness because they disobeyed God and they didn't do what he wanted them to do. That's a real challenge, isn't it? That you could wander for years and years and years not having understood or not having obeyed God's purposes. We sometimes like to think that our actions have no consequences, but the reality is the law of the harvest remains intact. And Numbers tells us the story of an 11-day journey, then a 40-year wandering, and then 5 months at the end of the book when the new generation is about to enter Canaan and God is giving them instructions. It's called Numbers because there are two censuses that take place through the book, one on Mount Sinai and one on the plains of Moab as they are waiting and wandering in the wilderness. The book is sometimes in Hebrew called simply In the Wilderness, and that's the challenge of it. It tells us the story of what happens when we disobey God and what happens when we walk away from him. A central chapter is Numbers chapter 14, where we read these words: "None of the people who have seen my glory and the signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness shall see the promised land. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me wholeheartedly, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it." Numbers is a challenge around a laissez-faire attitude toward God. It's a challenge to walk faithfully with him. It's a challenge to walk close to him. It's a challenge to obey him, but not out of fear, instead out of love and intimacy, because he leads us. He is the God that went before Israel with a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, and he's still the God who will lead us. I trust that you will enjoy reading this book as much as I have, and that its vitality, its life, its message will be birthed again in you, and you will learn the blessing of following God and the challenges of making a decision not to.